I'm Lucretia.
And I'm Griselda.
Welcome to And Another Thing with Lucretia and Griselda. Grab your witch's brew and get ready, because it's time for And Another Thing, Halloween edition.
Yeah, we didn't think this through.
What? Welcome back, ghouls and We're not going to keep talking like this, are we?
No.
Okay.
I can't keep talking.
Welcome back. Before we get into our eerie tales, please, if you haven't already, please subscribe. And if you like the show, please share it with your friends.
Yes, please. And you can also follow us on Facebook and the Instagrams and the tweets.
And the tweets.
Right there. Okay, so Halloween edition, y'all. This is going to be all spooky, scary stuff. And we're going to start with just a little tale that I read on the interwebs, and it creeped me out a little bit. So I'm just going to kind of read it from here. This is somebody on the interwebs wrote this little story. The worst apartment ever. Before I was born, my father and mother had a small apartment together. My mother told me once she went into the basement and saw a woman standing at the base of the steps, just staring up at her, and then she vanished. Then my father was in the shower, one with a sliding glass door, and you can barely make out what's on the other side, when a large figure walked up to the other side of the glass and banged on it, making it blow out. Shattered the glass. And when my mother found him, he was in fetal position in the shower, covered in glass, and no one was around. Ooh. That last one made them move out. He confirmed it happened, but doesn't like to talk about it. He's a relatively tough dude, this girl's father, so for something to scare him like that means a lot. Somewhere in between those two occurrences, this is my favorite part of this story. They came home to find absolutely everything moved over about an inch. They only realized this happened because they weren't very good at dusting.
Wow. So if you're going to track a ghost, don't dust. So I'm a ghost tracker.
Perfect argument to not clean your house,
I'm
people.
a good ghost tracker.
That's what I'm saying.
Okay,
anyway, what's your story?
So you know Chucky in Child's Play?
I hate Chucky.
I know. It's based on a real doll.
Ooh.
So Robert the doll was once owned by Key West painter and author Eugene Otto. He was given the doll by his Jamaican nurse.
People.
What could go wrong?
You don't take things from Jamaican nurses. I mean...
So she was skilled in black magic and voodoo, as most baby nurses are. So she was a little unhappy about her role in the family. I guess she wanted a raise or something. So right after she gave Otto the doll, Eugene Otto, it started like haunting him. And people would say that they'd see the doll move from door to door and window to window when they weren't home. And Robert would emit a terrifying giggle, and Eugene would wake up in the middle of the night screaming with Robert next to him. So, I know.
Hell no.
So Eugene died in 1974, and the doll was left in the attic of his house. Again, what could go wrong with a doll in the attic? So the new owners had a little girl, and she found the doll. You know where this is going. And she would often scream in the middle of the night and claim that the doll moved towards her. And when her parents would come in, she would say, "The doll is trying to kill me." So
Of course it was.
Yeah. So today the doll, Robert the doll, can be found in the Fort East Marabello Museum in Key West, and it's featured on a ghost tour. But here's the thing, if you want to get a picture with Robert the doll, you have to ask Robert's permission. And he either tilts his head, and you can, or if he doesn't, you walk right by, because as the legend goes, he will haunt your family if you take a picture with him without permission. So yeah, Chucky's a real thing.
That's horrible.
Yeah.
I hate Chucky.
I know.
And now I really hate Chucky.
I know.
There's like nothing on this planet that's going to make me ever watch this movie. I just don't.
It's a real doll. Chucky's real.
Oh, the dolls coming to life thing has always been a super
Yeah, me too.
creepy thing. That said, do you have another story?
I do really quickly.
Go ahead,
The University of Florida has created a special task force that students can go complain if they find Halloween costumes offensive. So I get offensive Halloween costumes, like, blackface is offensive, going as a geisha is offensive, stuff like that. I totally get it. But this is a college, and they have a 24/7 hotline that if you're traumatized by somebody's costume, you can call the hotline to get counseling if you're traumatized by your fellow classmates' costumes.
Talk about taking political correctness to the extreme.
Yeah.
That's a bit much, y'all.
Yeah.
Come on.
That's, yeah.
Suck it up. It's
Or
Halloween.
just tell them, dude, your costume's disgusting.
They're just like, that's horrible. Hey,
Right.
You're an asshole.
Ooh, it's a Halloween edition.
Accidental curse drink. Mmm.
That's a first for and another thing.
That is. We've done very well getting through 7 episodes without cussing like sailors. Anyway, so
what you got?
With that story, I just wanted to know there's plenty of people in the world who do not subscribe to the concept that perhaps ghosts exist and things like that. I am not one of those people.
Nor am I believe.
I think there's so much more in the world and outside of the world than we could possibly ever understand or explain.
I completely agree.
That said, I just thought, in case you end up on a TV game show where you need to know trivial answers to things, I'd like to take a second to explain to you the difference between hauntings. And then if you feel like something's in your house, you might be able to identify.
Ooh, good
what
to know.
it is.
And it's good cocktail party banter.
Totes. So here we go. There are 3 different kinds of hauntings, basically. There's intelligent, there's residual, and then there's the poltergeist. And it's not what you think it is. It's not what the movies have shown you. An intelligent haunting is basically, that is a spirit. That is an entity that can interact with you, can communicate with you. If you've had a family member visit in your dreams, or you think you've seen your dead grandmother, that could be that person's spirit. If you can say, knock 3 times and show me that you're here, and you hear 3 knocks, that's an intelligent haunting, and they're trying to talk to you.
Huh.
They're almost always nothing to be scared of.
Right, and that's what they bring forth, like in seances and stuff. When you
No,
I'm getting ahead of myself.
That's for another episode, I think. Basically, I'm just going, the residual haunting. Now, a lot of people freak out about this when really there's really nothing to freak out about. It's just like, and a residual haunting is a playback. It's energy playback. Like, people have said they've gone to Gettysburg and they've seen images of the battles being fought there. It's not actually spirits.
I get that.
It's like when you had cassette tapes when we were very young. When you had a cassette tape and you would tape over something, and sometimes you could hear what was already recorded there in the first place.
Yeah.
That's basically what's happening. It's just replaying itself. They cannot interact with you, and there's nothing to be scared of. Now, a poltergeist.
Yes.
Extraordinarily rare. Really rare. And 9 times out of 10, there's a teenager in the house. It's a cluster of energy.
Good save.
Yes, it's just a whole bunch of super duper intense energy. If you're experiencing super high stress, this energy can draw an entity to you that has the power. It sucks off of the energy you're giving it with all that stress, and that's how it can move things.
Okay.
That's what. So what you were saying before is really what a poltergeist is.
Okay, I understand.
Yeah. So generally generally a regular intelligent haunting, they might be able to move things very little, make sounds and stuff like that, but
because they're intelligent.
They're trying to get a message to you.
They're
Poltergeist entity can stack tables and chairs up.
Right.
And if that's happening in your house, you need to move. Everything else is pretty much dealable. Call me, I'll help you. Anyway.
Okay. I think that wraps up.
Yes.
Eerie things to talk about.
Yes. And we'll be back in a second with our personal true ghost stories. And now it's time for true ghost stories.
What you got?
So, When I was living in Nashville, this is probably the scariest personal ghost story that I have. I was living in an apartment underneath a lady and her husband. She was from Boston. Her name was Anne. Not Jamaican. No, but you need the story. You might think it would have been better if she was Jamaican. She was from Boston. She talked like this because she smoked like a chimney, and she called me Darcy, and her name was Anne. And then she was married to Miguel from Mexico. So when they got in fights, it was really interesting to listen to.
Imagine. Oh my God.
Yeah. But anyway, Anne was...
You're a wicked jerk. No, I'm not. Okay.
Anne had taken pieces of every religion known to man and had created her own. And a lot of it was actually Native American, which was fine. Now, keep in mind at the time that I was a Susie super Christian. And
for you to say.
Exactly. And so I didn't believe in all that stuff that she was doing. And she was telling me this one day that she was going to have a ceremony to call the grandmothers. Because in Native American lore, the women are actually very powerful in Native American culture. So she's going to call the grandmothers and have them come visit and give her blessings. And I was like, okay. So I don't really think anything of this, whatever. She's just my crazy neighbor. I go to sleep one night. I wake up, I roll over in the bed, and swear to God, there is this old woman in a very old-timey 1800s kind of dress with lace and satin, so like something special but old, to the ground, and standing there by my bed, and she lifts her hand up at me, and I scream bloody murder! Turn the light on, of course she's gone. My roommate comes running, what's happening? And I was like, nothing, you don't want her to think I was crazy, the whole 9 yards. But I'm telling you, I know what I saw. I know what I saw.
Yeah.
So then it occurs to me, like the next morning, I wake up and I go, oh, I have to talk to Anne. So I talk to Anne, and I'm like, hey, Anne, how'd calling the grandmothers go the other night? Because I realized it was the same night that she would be calling the grandmothers. And she's like, oh, it was wonderful. I had a blessing. And blah, blah, blah. I said, next time you do this, can you just make sure they get better directions? Because one of them stopped off at my place before it hit you up and scared the bejesus out of me.
Oh, wow.
And then she was like, oh, I'd never call anything that would hurt you. She was giving you a blessing. She was loving. I was like, wait between the lines, lady. So anyway, that's my scariest ghost story.
That's pretty scary. Okay, so Darcy, you were talking about poltergeists before. So when I was little, we lived in Chatsworth in this house, and Chatsworth's that way, evidently. And
for everyone.
we went out. We were out of town, and next door we had a really nice, really wholesome Mormon family living next to us. So one of the teenagers used to feed our dogs when we were out of town. So we came back, and the dogs were howling and kicking their dishes and stuff, and we came in, and my mom went next door to pay the girl, and she said, I'm so sorry, Mrs. Goodman, I didn't feed the dogs. So she's like, what? She said, the first night I went over, I was, all of a sudden, all the lights were going on and off, and things were flying out of your cupboards. And this was the days before garage door openers, and our garage door was flying up and down with nothing. And this girl, I'm getting goosebumps right now telling the story. This girl, like I said, wholesome girl, and she's like, I can't take the money from you. My dad wouldn't let me come over to your house because this was happening. So we're like, okay.
Yeah, that's a poltergeist.
Yeah, and there were 4 kids in the family, ages, 12 down. So, and then my brother, my oldest, one time my mom came back from the market, and he was about old enough to be left alone, and he was curled up under his bed, and my mom, what's going on? She says, he said, I was watching TV, and all of a sudden, the TV kept going on, they're here!
Oh,
and
no.
boxes were flying out of the cupboards, and he crawled under the bed and hid. So we had something going on in that house.
Something powerful up in that house.
And that house was weird because it was a couple miles from Spawn Ranch where the Mansons' hideout was.
Oh, well.
And it was in the days when they were there. And across the street, we had what I used to call the hobo field. And it was literally hobos with their rucksacks would like build fires and sleep right across the street from our house. So we had a lot going on in that house.
Lot of wacko energy around
so that's
the
my,
area.
my poltergeist story.
Well, I've never heard that. For 1,000 years, I've never heard that story. That's fantastic. I'm fascinated by this stuff. We're going to end this little segment on a very happy little note. My Uncle Jimmy, my dad's best friend all through his life growing up, he passed away from cancer in the mid to late 90s.
Is that the happy part?
No. But a couple weeks after he passed, I was just cleaning my house, and I have a picture of him. He always wanted to be an actor, but it didn't come to fruition for him. So he was like my biggest fan. He was always, just, you go for your dreams, Dars. And I loved him dearly. And I had an old headshot of his. I still have it. And I had it sitting up on the television. Now, granted, it was in a picture frame, but it didn't have the leg that holds the picture frame up was broken. So I had to set it up against the VCR. One day I was cleaning my house, and I was as far away from it as you could possibly be. And I was just thinking about Uncle Jimmy, and I was just kind of talking to him in my mind. And that picture it didn't slide out from underneath like a picture that doesn't have anything holding it up would. It went like this. I mean, it was face down. Wow. And I got goosebumps just thinking about it, but not in a scared way, because I knew he was there listening to me, and I have always known ever since that he's with me. And I talk to this day, I talk to him a lot. Especially when I have to make a decision about something creative.
That's good.
So.
And I was just kidding when I said, is that the happy?
That's okay.
I didn't mean
No, it sucked.
But
He died of cancer because of asbestos poisoning.
Yeah. But no, I was just being a smart Alec, because you started the story. This is a happy story.
This is a happy story.
My uncle died of cancer.
About a dead guy.
I'm not that
But anyway.
mean people. But good.
So anyway, so that's a happy story.
That is a happy story.
And that's it for our true ghost stories. These are a few of the things that we fear.
So aside from hauntings and stuff, one of my really, really irrational fears is I am terrified of driving on bridges. Really.
Not fun.
No. And it's bad enough when I know they're coming, but if I'm driving along, like I remember driving in, first time I was ever in Dallas, and I rented a car and I'm driving, and all of a sudden there's these huge bridges and I didn't know where I was going, and I get like white knuckly and my palms sweat. So here's what I have to do. In Hoosiers, when they are playing the championship game, Gene Hackman does this great monologue about it's the same size court anywhere you go. So I have to do that it's the same size street. You're driving the same road. You drive all the time. Just drive between the lines, and you'll be fine. And I literally have to say that to myself every time I drive on a bridge. It scares the bejeeminous out of me.
I have a long list of fears. Weirdly, driving on bridges is not one of them, but I do fear growing old alone. I have never feared death. I could get hit by a bread truck tomorrow, go onto the pearly gates, fine. I've never feared death.
I don't fear death either.
But I fear being old, alone, and not able to, like my mind being super sharp, but my body being completely useless, and having nobody to take care of me, or being a burden on my family because of that. That's like... I can't, we used to have to, in high school, or college actually, they used to make, I was in a vocal jazz group, and they used to make us go and sing at nursing homes. Oh, yeah. And I would just flip out every time, because there was always people in there that were
I got used to that.
Alone and dying alone.
It is. That's tough. That's a real fear, especially when we're single. I mean, that's,
so. Okay. What else are you scared of?
My other thing is, now it's dying alone, but the other thing is touching the gushy bottom of a lake. Now I love to swim. I love to swim in the ocean. I love to swim in the pools. I am a swimmer. That's one of my favorite things to do. But lake swimming, when you touch the gushy bottom, so what I used to make my dad do is drive me out to the middle of the lake, and I'd go off the ladder of the boat and swim around out there, and then climb back on the boat, and he'd take me back in.
I actually like that. Now that I think about it, it's been a long time, but I would dig my toes right in it. Because
I always think it's like some weird sludgy thing, and I know.
Well, it could be. But when you're a kid, you're probably. When I was a kid, I didn't think about things like that.
Yeah.
Now I'd probably be like, I can't do that.
Right. I mean, now they have aqua shoes. In my day, they didn't. You
That's
wear your
true.
kids in there if you wanted
That's
to
true.
get them all waterlogged.
When we were your age, we had to swim without things covered up.
fancy aqua shoes. Anyway, so that's my other fear, is the
Yeah.
gushy part on the bottom of a lake.
Yes. So my other fear, I'm all serious with my fears today,
And
because
my
you know,
world,
there's
mine
plenty
are
like
serious, too.
heights and free falls and things like that. You know, things claustrophobia. I don't like elevators all that much, but the thing I really hate is if I'm accidentally racist.
Oh, that's.
I try to be so careful to be mindful of how things might be heard by somebody of another ethnicity or whatever, even if I don't mean it. Because I think a lot of times people say stuff they don't mean.
No, and they don't realize that
Yeah.
it's, what do they call it, microtransgressions.
Something
they don't
like that,
realize
yeah.
it.
Because in high school, one of my best friends, she was mixed. Her dad was black and her mother was white. And her father used to play football, and he was a ginormous man. He was like 6'4", 6'5", and just wide as a refrigerator. I mean, just a big guy. And
Sounds good to me.
super sweet, yeah, right? That's your kind of guy. Super sweet man, and of course I loved my best friend, and I didn't really think of her as a mixed race person. She was just my friend. And one day, her and I and another friend were talking about just our parents in general, and I said to our other friend, "So, oh, you've never met her father? Oh, he's so cool." But then I said, and I swear to God, the only thing that was in my brain was his size. I said, "Man, I'd hate to run into him in a dark alley in the middle of the night."
Oh no.
Yeah.
Which, of course,
But that's a
my best friend heard as a racial,
Right.
scared of a black man in the middle of the night. And I swear, and when she didn't say anything at the time, but like later she brought that to my attention. And I was just, to this day, years later, I cringe when I think of that moment. And that's like a huge fear of me, is being accidentally racist when I don't.
That's a pretty legitimate fear. Wow.
So yeah.
Okay.
So there we go.
So those
Is that
are
all
our
of it?
fears.
Yes.
Thank you so much for joining us for a very
Yes.
special Halloween edition. Be safe on Halloween
Yes.
and have fun.
Yes. Check your candy.
That's right.
Don't drink and drive.
That's right.
And have a great time. And our next episode is going to be celebrating our democratic process, because it'll be election day.
That's right. Election Tuesday will be our next episode.
That's
so
right.
join us. Thank you so much.
Thank you. We love you. Happy Halloween.
Happy Halloween. Absolutely.
Absolutely.